Hi, I'm Drew D'Amelia.
And I'm Nick Padula.
And welcome to Blinkity Bloop, a podcast where we talk about movies that have recently come out. It's also a band. Blinkity Bloop is the name of a band, a great band that does great music, but it's a podcast as well that does great podcasting about movies.
Yeah, it's confusing, I know, for the layman to confuse the two, but it is important to know that this right here is separate from our band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the band's been doing pretty well lately, I gotta say.
Yeah, you were worried for a while about balancing the podcast and the band, but we've hit a pretty good rhythm.
I mean, I feel like the rhythm doesn't even have to really do... Well, I guess if things didn't go more my way with this podcast, then we might not have even had the opportunity to hit this rhythm, so...
Right.
We could say that I was right all along. But, you know, we're doing the podcast still, so that's kind of...
It's a win-win.
Yeah, sure. And actually, we'll have a special announcement that we'd like to make about the band if you stay tuned until the end of today's podcast.
Definitely worth sticking around.
But, Nick, what are we kicking off today's podcast with? Which movie?
If memory serves, I'd say it's Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom.
Yes, a title that just screams, see this movie, right?
Yeah.
Now, obviously you saw Jurassic World.
No, I didn't. What would make you say that?
Heavens to Betsy, you haven't?
No.
Well, let me tell you what happens in Jurassic World.
All right, sure, go for it.
You got dinos.
Sure.
They're being their dino selves.
Right.
And they're in a park. It's kind of like a zoo with dinos.
Oh, wow, that sounds good.
But then you'll never guess what happens.
What?
Oh, jeez, these dinos, they just, I don't know, but they just kind of go all over the place.
Oh, man, the investors will be really pissed about that.
Yeah, they're like, hey, you dinos, you best get back now. But the dinos are like, nah, fam. It's like, oh, jeez, you dinos, you rapscallions.
Jeepers.
Yeah.
Sounds like an anxiety-fueled nightmare.
You know, I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it, Nick. We have some refractory dinos here.
Oh, jeepers.
They need discipline.
Oh, man.
There's no one to do it. We kind of have Chris Pratt, who's
Okay.
a speaker of dinos, if you will.
Yeah, he speaks to them?
Well, he clicks at them and he holds out his hands and he's like, "I'm your hug, buddy."
Is he a dino whisperer?
Sure, I suppose. He's friends with the dinos.
That's nice.
But
It's good to have friends.
He's got a couple things up his sleeve, but you just don't know with him. You just don't know what he's capable of. And he can't stop every dino. He's just
No, naturally.
So, you know, dinos are just kind of rolling around. I think they chomp a couple people up.
Oh, jeez.
Not very satisfying. You know, what I want from my dino movie is dinos really going to town on some people.
Very vicious.
I remember there was like a babysitter that just got horrifically destroyed. That went, oh, okay. Is that going to happen with other people that I don't like? No, not really.
Just that one nice person.
It's just just this innocent babysitter just horribly destroyed more than any other bad character in the movie.
Wow, jeez. Was there a big bad dinosaur?
Oh yeah, I remember that being a part that I liked. They made this. I don't know if they made it or it already existed. I think they made it. It was like maybe two dinosaurs fucked and created a big bad. I don't know. There's like a big old dinosaur that was like, "Hey guys, rawr."
Oh,
Yeah, it was scary.
Jesus.
And then it was fun because they went, there's only one way to stop this dino. And so they got the T-Rex out, and the T-Rex was like, hello.
Was it bigger than the other dino?
I think they were comparable. I don't know.
So it's a 50-50 fight.
Yeah, something like that. The T-Rex fought the thing, and ultimately, at the end of the day, a giant whale just came up and ate the bad dino.
What?
Yeah,
Was it near the coast?
Yeah, it was near some water, so the big old monster dino whale just came up and gobbled it up.
It was a whale?
I don't know. It was some underwater dino.
Huh. Was it a plesiosaur?
The fuck are you talking about?
A mastodon?
I
No, that's a fucking one of those elephant things. That's like a mammoth.
So it was an underwater elephant dino, of course.
Yeah.
So then they went, oh man, that park, I just, you know, You think we would have learned our lesson by now? Because this wasn't a reboot. This was a continuation.
Of the Jurassic Park trilogy?
Precisely. So they wanted time to leave this park. So now we have our sequel. Finally, at long last. I've been waiting for this with bated breath.
Yep.
And you know what?
What?
When they built that park, turns out, oh, jeez, there was a volcano.
Oh.
What are you going to do?
That seems like a very bad placement.
Yeah, I don't know if they knew about that volcano and just went, let's hedge our bets on this one.
I mean, what else could it be? Like, hey, it's a mountain that's kind of got a hole in it. Like, what the fuck were they thinking?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe they just thought that it wouldn't explode. I'm sure we have some volcanoes that are technically active that have things built around them, but people think it's probably not going to blow up for 70 years. Let's make some civilization around it. But I don't know about that one, buddy.
The folly of mankind.
Yeah,
It's our hubris.
I'm no volcano boy, but that just seems like a big old volcanic red flag.
Yep.
So, what do you know? There's going to be a boom on Dino Island.
Jeez.
Now, you don't have people there anymore. It's just the dinos from the park.
Right.
But guess what? There's a dinosaur protection agency, of course.
The DPA?
Yeah, and
Very serious organization.
they want to protect those dinos. I don't know if they existed before they found out there was a volcano. I don't know. And what are they expecting exactly is going to happen? Like, there's going to be a volcano that blows up. We got to get all the dinos. Like, okay, where do we put them? I guess maybe another island?
Without a volcano.
Yeah. Like, well, this one has a volcano too, but we're going to hedge our bets on that one.
This one actually has 3 volcanoes, but I got a good feeling 3's a lucky number.
Like, they get to the 7th island. All right, so that's the 7th time we've had to move these dinos because a volcano blew up within a year. We really need a better contingency plan. I've got an idea, boss. Yes. Let's train the dinos to create the big old cork shape, and then we put the dino cork in the volcano. My God, that's brilliant.
What?
Think that would work? Big old dino cork?
I mean, are the dinos immune to lava?
Probably not.
Then I feel like as soon as you use them as a lid and plug up the hole, they'll be like, what do we do now? It's kind of hot in here. Oh no, Billy the Velociraptor's melting.
They just all violently die. Oh man, we spent years training these dinos to do incredible acrobatic feats in order to gymnastically arrange themselves in a beautiful dinosaur cork formation, only to have them immediately incinerated.
Man. That's the last time we hired Dino Cork Guy over here.
That T-Rex was so proud that he was able to bend that way, and to watch him know he would die.
It was crazy that the herbivores, the carnivores, the omnivores, they were all able to put their differences aside and join together in order to preserve their species, only for it to end with them all melting into the lava. Tragic.
It really was a beautiful moment for dinosaurs, though. They really did go out as anyone would want to go out, being a cork and then burning alive.
That's how my grandpa went.
That's how my grandpa went. Wow.
I think they were both in the same cork formation.
Oh my God, that's great.
Crazy. Wow, small world.
Yeah, the things you learn when talking about your dino flicks.
Yep.
Yeah, so I saw the trailer for this.
Yeah?
And it was basically Chris Pratt.
Right.
Going, run! The volcano is going off.
Yeah.
And already I'm like, okay, hold up. Are we trying to outrun nature? Because I never take that seriously.
No.
But we had more. Is that the dinos were also trying to outrun nature.
Right next to him.
It was a perfect storm of stupid.
Yeah.
Because not only do you just have humans going, we gotta run away from the lava, but you go, all these fucking dinos. And it was so funny. And then this happened in the trailer. You have dinos fighting each other, and then a big dino comes and eats another dino, and then goes, roar! I'm like, I thought you were running. What are you doing?
Also, why wasn't it eating Chris Pratt and the others? It just left him alone. It was literally right next to him.
And the movie just, bye.
Just like, oh, back to running.
Yeah, so how do our heroes even get to this island? Well, there's a rescue op going on. So Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, they mosey on over to that island.
Mm-hmm.
But then it turns out there was a trap!
Oh!
Yeah.
Jeez.
Because the government was like, ha, fooled you. We're just using you to capture this real special dino, and we captured all the other dinos.
Oh, fudge.
Boy, howdy did they. They got a bunch of dinos. Just, I don't know how, but they just put them in cages off screen, and we're like, wow, that was good.
There were helicopters carrying whole T-Rexes off the island.
Yeah, it's really just amazing.
Yeah.
And this all happened after the volcano exploded. I guess it was still exploding at the time.
Yeah.
And the trailer basically covered the rich stupidity of that, although there was one key element that they were leaving out, is that Chris Pratt had been shot with a tranq dart.
Oh, yeah.
And so he was regaining use of his limbs, but there was some hot lava that was slowly creeping toward him.
Oh, jeez.
And so, as he's flopping around trying to, he just barely flops his arm away from the lava keeps getting closer, and we see it literally incinerate some dino bones, and I'm thinking, this feels like a comedy routine, but also his horrific death is impending, so,
Weird time to establish stakes.
I'm totally confused. So then they run, of course, away from the volcano and I guess dinos, and they fall off a cliff. And Bryce Dallas Howard and the nerd that I don't even feel like talking about. It's just a nerd that's
Fucking
around.
hate that nerd. I wish they killed him.
They're in one of these vehicles or something, this little round thing.
Bubble.
And I heard from one of my friends that in the first movie, they made this big demonstration about how it was bulletproof. Like a gun was shot at it and it didn't even go through.
Huh.
But then when they were underwater in this big heavy metal thing, how did they get out? Well, they shot some bullets through it, of course.
Yeah.
Maybe
bullets work different underwater.
Well, the bullets didn't actually work. I mean, they went right the fuck through, but it didn't actually work.
Yeah.
So Chris Pratt, who's on the outside trying to save the people inside, he goes back to the surface. Then he comes back, and you see he has a knife. I can't help it. But the first thing I think, you're going to just stab the glass?
The gun didn't work, so how about this knife?
But no, he turned out he was just going to pry the glass off or something like that. But just the first sight of seeing it with a knife, I'm like, yes, of course, stab it. Good shooting didn't work.
Works every time. Leading up to that bubble in the water, I thought it was hilarious that all the dinosaurs were running off this cliff with the vehicle. And they were all like, and then you see the vehicle go underwater and they're like, ah! And then moments later, you see like a Bronchiosaurus or a fucking long neck dinosaur go, just fall in right next to them. And then Triceratops, Velociraptor, all the dinosaurs. And it's just like, that's a lot of... I hope those dinosaurs brought floaties, because if not, they're gonna drown.
Yeah, I was genuinely wondering if some of those dinos could swim or not. I gotta say, dinosaurs, they're cool, and this movie definitely makes them feel realistic and cool, and it is fun to see different species and stuff like that. That is fun. But they sound fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, sometimes they sound horrifying. But, okay, so a T-Rex, when it's angry, it's like, bah! But what sound does it make when it's trying to get out of the water? Would it be the same sound, or would it be like, bah!
I don't know. We didn't really get to hear the struggles of a drowning T-Rex.
And that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah.
But yeah, then they're going away. The heroes sneak onto a government ship, because I guess the government was going to try to leave them for dead.
Yep.
And you see one tall old dino that's going, "Bah!" on, like, hey guys, come back. Come on.
As the volcanic smoke slowly surrounds it, so there's no escape.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting because it was definitely a sad moment in the movie.
Yeah.
Until I really had no actual reason to feel any sympathy about the dino. Just a moment of this innocent dino just kind of crying out. I did find myself kind of feeling bad for the dino and any other dinos that were burnt alive. I don't know if you did.
It kind of felt like the movie was trying to manipulate us emotionally because it showed Bryce Dallas Howard kind of tear up like, oh no, the Bronchiosaurus won't make it on the boat. And then Chris Pratt's like, I gotta look masculine, but I'm a little sad at the same time. And I'm just like, and the sad music's playing, and I'm just like, fuck you, movie. Fuck that Bronchiosaurus.
I felt real bad for that dino.
You're entitled to feel that way. Me,
They played some sad music and he was going, "Aah." And you could tell it was sad.
Yeah, it wasn't happy, huh? It wasn't suicidal.
What if it translated to, has anyone seen my iPod Nano? I lost it 3 days ago. Doesn't even know that he's about to die.
Or also, finally, the sweet release of death.
I've been thinking about killing myself for a long time.
It's really hard for a dinosaur to kill himself.
This really takes the pressure off.
I don't have to worry about writing a letter to my family.
All dinosaurs are suicidal. We all want to die.
We're not supposed to be alive. We're freaks of science.
Existence is pain. Yeah, that makes me feel better.
Okay.
See, that'd be great if there were subtitles. Bryce Dallas Howard understands them, and instead of crying, she's just smiling like, yeah.
Good on you.
All right. And the rest
Bye,
of
Mr. Dinosaur.
We gotta kill these other dinos.
They want to die.
That would be great. But no, instead, the government is gonna sell the dinos.
Oh, man. How are they going to sell them? Like on eBay?
No, at an auction at this guy's house.
Oh, that's kind of weird.
Well, if you think that's fun, guess how much they go for?
How much?
Well, the first dino,
Okay.
oh my goodness, you're not going to believe this.
Uh-huh.
It goes for like $5 million.
That seems like a pretty good deal.
Yeah, because you'd think, these extremely rare creatures that are even more rare now that the island presumably decimated the remaining dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Would go for quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
$5 million, I feel like, that's how much they had to pay the leads in this movie.
Yeah, that's pennies for like super rich people.
Yeah, it's really not too bad.
Yeah, and that crowd was full of like billionaires, so they were like, I've got a few dollars here. Here you go.
And listen, here's what I'm thinking. I get it if you're real eccentric and you want to buy a dino.
Yep.
Okay, sure. But they were trying to give alternate reasons besides, these are eccentric people that want dinos. They're trying to make it seem more reasonable why people would want these dinos. And so they had things like, these dinos are great weapons. Look at this dino. They call it the living tank. And I'm like, that's great.
Yeah.
But why not have a tank that won't die?
Tanks don't have to eat. Also, the dinosaurs can't shoot missiles.
I mean, the army's thinking, we got these tanks, but you know what it's missing? Taking giant dumps. That's what we need.
And needing to sleep?
And then they have this super soldier dinosaur that they created.
Yeah.
And apparently, it's so high maintenance where if you wanted to attack something, you have to hold this gun and point a laser at what you wanted to attack and then hit the sound button and it'll attack it. Like, cool. So, like a gun?
You could literally just shoot someone and it'll be more effective.
Yeah, unless that dinosaur is faster than a bullet, I think the bullet's gonna do a better job.
Yeah.
It's just so pointless.
Enemy soldiers have a chance of killing a dinosaur. You can't kill a bullet.
It's so stupid. And I gotta say, it does kind of bother me that these dinosaurs are in cages. It feels wrong to me. Like, I want to look at these dinosaurs and go, they're strong and they're mighty. And to just have them caged so easily. I'm like, they should be able to get through these bars.
Probably.
It feels like they would be able to get through those bars. And then this is what I loved. Apparently, they had some jail cells, and I thought all the cells these dinosaurs are being kept in had this reinforced metal that the cages were made out of.
Yep.
But no, they had brick.
Yeah.
And there's this head-button dinosaur that headbutt its way through the brick.
Yeah.
I'm like,
that's a very poor
no one think of that.
Architecture.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And then it got loose.
And then it busted through the bars that were supposed to be able to hold fucking T-Rexes.
Oh yeah, that's right. It did that too.
It was just like, oh, hit this door right in this spot, and then you're free.
I think they showed it unlock or something like that. But if it did unlock, then why didn't the...
I don't think it did unlock.
Yeah, I don't know.
It had to ram it right at the door, I guess.
Whatever. I don't know why I'm trying to have this movie make any sense.
You can't justify it.
Oh, and just to close off the auction part.
Yep.
I love how this super soldier dino, they're showing it. Obviously, everyone's going to think it's for sale. But then after they give this grand introduction, someone bids and they go, oh, actually, it's not for sale.
But wait, you brought it to an auction. You don't bring things to an auction to be like, this looks nice, doesn't it? Okay, say bye to it.
$20 million. It's not for sale. $21 million. No. Well, I guess we could sell it.
They decided pretty quickly.
Oh, maybe they were just really stupid. Like, next they just bring out this cage that just has a goat in it that's going to be fed for another dino that's going to be transferred in there, and someone's like, $50 million. Like, oh, that's just a goat. The dino's not even here yet. $60 million. It's just a goat. $100 million. All right.
A janitor comes out and starts mopping, and they're just like, $500 million. That's literally Gerald, the janitor.
No, for the mop.
You guys are really stupid.
Mops are dinosaurs.
We read different history books.
Go to the nearest Home Depot and just get everything. These people are paying millions of dollars.
These dinosaurs are everywhere.
The home dino, right?
The Moppiosaurus.
And then our good friend Headbutt Dinosaur comes on in and headbutts
everyone
into oblivion. And the way it headbutts people, you think, oh, okay, their spine must have fractured immediately. But I guess they're just stunned.
Yeah, it literally showed in the background of this crowd, people getting flung into the air like fucking, I don't know, fucking confetti. And they're just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I'm just like, they're just removing all sense of realism from an already unrealistic movie. And it's just like, oh my God.
And one thing I didn't like is that Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard are sneaking around this auction. And when they see that the super soldier dino is going to be sold, they're like, we can't let that dino get out of here. We have to stop this transaction. But I'm like, maybe you don't want any of the dinos to be leaving because I feel like it wouldn't be good for anyone to have dinos.
No. But this one especially because it's a gun dino.
Yeah. And then I will admit, that dino got loose. And instead of having this big, oh no, it's attacking the city, it was just in this house. A big house, but a house nonetheless, trying to get our two heroes and this little girl that was just kind of around.
Yep.
And that's when I started liking the movie, which was very late in the movie. But I was like,
hour and a half in.
It's just a simple, like a horrifying dinosaur in a house. Now, given the amount of times it failed to get anyone, really didn't make it seem like a good super soldier.
Like, I feel like whoever bought it, like, if they actually went through with the transaction, it's like they're in the middle of a war. They're like, all right, go out. And it just gets stunned by a branch. Like, this is the fucking worst investment I've ever made since the cotton candy gun.
Oh, man. But there is my favorite part.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this?
Okay.
Okay, so this girl...
The little kid?
Yeah, she just looks like a little kid.
Yep.
Now, you make this comment, And I didn't think you were serious at the time.
Yeah.
But basically, she's a clone. And I went, what? That doesn't make sense. But then her dad, who is the bad guy running the auction.
It wasn't her dad, it was a guardian.
Oh, okay. Whatever.
Her dad and her mom died or something.
Okay. So the bad guy was like, she's a clone. And this was completely unimportant to the plot.
Yep.
Really didn't matter at all.
No.
At any point in the movie other than this moment.
No.
So that was already great. This unnecessary plot twist that does absolutely nothing for anybody.
Yeah.
I was loving it. And then all of a sudden, a dino just comes in and attacks one of the hedgehogs. Like, that was the best moment right there. That was
really
great.
Funny.
Very satisfying.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, the ending, I started getting a little bit into it because then, after the bad dino dies, they just show all the other dinosaurs that were bought being shipped off. And it's implied that they're just gonna be in the world.
Used as weapons.
Or something. I don't know. Maybe one guy's like, you're my new wife.
I love you too.
So much of the violence happened off screen.
Yeah. It's a very bloodless movie.
All I wanted from this was just people being devoured. I guess the tense dino chase at the end was fine, but I wanted to see more people being torn up, but you just didn't really get a satisfying dose of it.
No. It was usually
disappointing.
just right out of, view.
Yeah. Nick, you know what I gotta hear, though?
What?
I gotta hear about the big button ending.
Oh, the button. Okay. So, there's this... All these dinosaurs are in this, dinosaur prison, and they're all, dinosaur... Yeah.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Dinosaur prison, and this poison gas gets let out into this dino prison, and they're all slowly being killed by this poison, and Chris Pratt's like, if we let them loose, they're gonna be responsible for a bunch of deaths, and I can't, live with that. And Bryce Dallas Howard is like, they're living things, and they have a right to life just as much as us, and she gets ready to push the button, but she's like...
And what's that button gonna do?
It's gonna open the doors of the facility so they can escape and not get poisoned. So she's got her hand hovering over the button, and then at the last second, she's like, I can't do it. It's not right. And then we're just like, okay, good. Thank you, Bryce. You're doing the right thing, letting nature take its course, which it should have done way earlier in the movie.
And I thought it was a really fascinating and effective emotional scene where this person that wants to save animals, and she thinks these dinosaurs are worth saving.
Yeah.
Has to make this horrible sacrifice of letting them all die in order to protect humanity.
Yeah.
I thought, wow, that's a really bold ending, actually. I really like that.
Yeah. And then, right as they're like, okay, well, I guess they're gonna die, you just see the little girl push the fucking button and let all the dinosaurs out, and I expected them to be like, you dumb idiot, you've killed us all. And everyone's just like, good job, little girl. And she's just like, they're living just like me. And I'm just like, yeah, no shit. But a lot of things are living that kill people. And that doesn't mean you should let them out and give them the opportunity to murder people.
I don't think that little girl is going to just tear out people's throats with her teeth.
Exactly. She's like, they're living like me. I'm also a velociraptor.
Oh, shit.
So all these dinosaurs are, and it's played like it's a good thing. Like, oh, they're going to integrate into nature and become a new part of the ecosystem. And I'm just like, no, that's going to kill millions of people.
I don't know that they called it a good thing, because Jeff Goldblum, who was in this movie only to basically do some narration.
Yeah, and warn people about dinos.
He basically went, this is going to be bad with the dinos everywhere. It's going to be a Jurassic World. And the movie ended, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, it is going to be a bad thing. And I'm actually curious to see where they go with the next movie, which I know will be bad, but it at least has kind of a fascinating setup
kind of
there.
Curiosity. Yeah.
Dinosaurs have been just released into the actual world.
Yeah.
All over the world, too, like internationally.
And when they were released, I expected more bad things to happen, but it only showed the bad guy getting eaten. And it's just like, everyone's like, yay, haha, the heck with you, bad guy. And I'm just like, okay, but it's going to do that to babies and children and innocent civilians too, just as easily as it does with the bad guys.
Also, I figure as we're closing this out, we should talk about our viewing experience.
Oh, yeah, that's important to the way everyone views a film.
Because we were certainly being obnoxious, because we were having a fun time making fun of it.
Yeah.
And I was worried that we were being rude and that we were the worst part of the movie for people. But I think there was another passenger along on our Jurassic voyage that might have stolen the show a little bit.
Yeah, there was a baby in the crowd.
Yeah, that was a little peculiar.
I mean, if you can't find a sitter, okay, but for all the movies to bring your kid to, you bring them to one where dinosaurs are supposed to be ripping people apart, but in reality, it was so tame and bloodless that I'm like, you know what? This is fine for a baby.
I mean, I wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt. Like, this parent is being progressive here and exposing their baby to things you wouldn't expect. And you know what? I bet this movie isn't really that scary when it comes down to it. But then I see some of these dinosaurs. And I'm a little desensitized, but if I'm thinking objectively, they're horrifying.
To a kid, yeah.
This is some of the scariest stuff just ever. It's so freaky.
I saw Jurassic Park when I was 5 and I couldn't sleep because I kept thinking about those acid spitting things. So for a baby that doesn't even know what it's watching on a screen, it's just nightmare fuel.
But I swear, I heard that baby laughing. Now, again, it's a baby. It probably doesn't really know what's happening. It could be seeing scary things and not even be processing fear because it's not old enough to yet.
Yeah.
But the takeaway from that is that all babies will laugh at Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Because it's a comedy for babies.
If you want your baby to have a good giggle, take it to Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah.
Ah!
What?
I'm sorry that I interrupted with a shriek. I know we were just talking about giggling babies.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about a really scary movie.
What?
Hereditary.
Wait. What?
Yeah, Hereditary is a horror movie.
Really?
That's what they said it was.
Huh.
Why, was this something else?
It kind of just seemed like a abstract family drama.
An abstract family drama? You mean it wasn't scary?
I will say this. It tried to be.
But what was it instead?
A comedy?
Oh. So this is something to take your babies to, too?
Well, I don't know about that. This, unlike Jurassic World, is a bit more graphic, we shall say.
Well, I think it's worth a try.
For babies.
Yeah, you should try to bring your baby in and see what happens. But I will take back my scream.
That's more
for me, right?
That's more accurate.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So, Hereditary.
Yep.
There are a lot of serious film people that think this was a great movie. I disagree. I don't get it.
Yeah.
To me, this just feels like a wacky comedy fest. It really does. And it can all be boiled down to the movie is essentially this mystery. Trying to figure out why this family is sort of going a little bit crazy. That's the way you can boil it down. And there's all these crazy things that are happening, and the movie wants you to look at them and go, another clue. How scary also, but this scary clue will bring me closer to figuring out what's happening.
Yep.
And we don't have a lot of context for these creepy clues.
No.
But to me, without that context, it can be easy to interpret these creepy clues as hilarious. There are quite a bit of ridiculous moments that happen. So yeah, just here, we'll give you stuff that has no context that happened in this movie, but we also didn't have context watching the movie. So we're going to be in the same boat, okay? So, you have this mom character, and she's begging for her husband, please put this book in the fire and burn it, and it'll kill me too. You have to put this book in the fire so the book and I can die. This goes on for a long time. And the husband goes, nah, I'm not gonna do it. But then I think the wife winds up just throwing the book in there herself.
Yeah.
And then the husband catches on fire and goes, ah! And then he dies.
Yeah. And he's real crispy.
We have a girl that goes, and I get that it's a tick. Maybe she has some sort of a disability, but kind of a funny noise, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
It makes it. Yeah. Like, it's in the sound effects folder of silly noises. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It's just funny to me. So already, all right. This is, I try to take it seriously because this could be a disability, fine, but it doesn't get easier from there.
No.
Because then she's trying to stick her head out a car window in order to breathe because she's having an allergic reaction, and she bonks her head on the sign.
It's a lot more than bonk.
Oh, right. She gets violently decapitated. Which, again, I'm like, oh, geez, I should really take this seriously. But I'm also like, she stuck her head out a window trying to breathe and then just had her head sliced off by a stop sign or something.
It was like a telephone pole.
Oh, yeah. It's just hard not to... I don't know. Maybe it's because we're bad people. And all right. So it's like, this is horrible. This is some horrible stuff. We have a boy, and he just starts smashing his head into a desk. And then he stops and goes, ah! We're in a room. And then all of a sudden we see emerge from the shadows this smiling naked man.
Yep.
Looks very happy, and he's quite old, too.
He was also smiling in another scene earlier in the movie at a funeral.
Yeah.
That was weird.
We see the wife, and she's just kind of hanging out on the ceiling, floating there.
Yep.
She just stays there a while, doesn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Cuts to the next shot, and we see her, like, swimming in the background through the air real quick.
Yep.
Not even making a noise.
Yep.
Later, we see her, and she hung herself.
No, she was floating in the air.
Oh, she was just floating in the air?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That explains she took that piece of wire and just started
like piano wire.
sawing at her neck. And at first, it was actually a little creepy. Like, I don't know what's going on, but this is kind of creepy.
Yeah.
But then you got a close-up of her. She's just holding her head up, and her eyes are really wide.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, okay, there goes that.
As she's sawing her head off.
And then she just starts doing it faster and faster.
Unrealistically
and her
fast.
eyes just widen even more. I'm like, dude, what?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can you think of any? Oh, I got a wacky moment.
Mm-hmm.
The son gets real spooked.
Yep.
And so he just jumps out a window.
Yep.
And falls onto the ground. Then he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
But then a little beam of light goes over him.
A little shimmer.
And then he's alive again.
Yep.
Cool. And that was a big part of the mystery right there. That was a key part.
The context you're missing is he jumped out the window because he was surrounded by naked old people.
Oh, is that why? I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yikes.
He wanted to escape this cult of naked old people, so he's just like, whoa! Also, another funny scene, the mom floating out of the house upward higher into a treehouse.
Oh, that's right. And she did it really slowly,
and it
too.
was silent, like... That's the sound effect, I imagine.
They may as well put on a slide whistle. Yeah, it would have made not as much sense. I'm having trouble. I feel like there are a ton of ridiculous moments.
It
but
was
thinking about it, I feel like there weren't actually that. It's just that the first hour was pretty boring, and then all of a sudden, toward the end, it all started rolling in.
Yeah.
So for the first hour, you don't know what's happening.
It's a dark family drama.
It's a little interesting. Toni Collette, the lead, was a great actress.
Yeah, she was.
And there was a dinner scene I really liked where the son had accidentally killed the sister, and they were finally talking about it, and it was great. I wish I had... Because the thing is, after the accident, you don't really find out what happened. You know there's a funeral, but you don't see the discussion that the family had with the son. So you just kind of see them some indeterminate amount of time later just living life. And I'm like,
Yeah.
did they press charges? Are they mad? Did he get grounded?
Grounded for taking his sister out and beheading her.
Like, what happened? And I almost thought, was it a dream? Because they didn't address it so much that I just thought something's really off here.
It was too bizarre.
They finally brought it up in the dinner scene. Like, I know what you did was an accident. It's been like 20 minutes and now, now you're bringing it up. But it was a great scene. It was probably my favorite scene in the movie because it's just really powerfully acted. Great character dynamics happening between the father, the wife, and the son.
Yeah.
But mostly I was just bored.
Yeah.
Because, at some point, he's like, you should try a seance. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I try the seance. I'm like, all right, fine, whatever.
Yeah. It was weird that it went from like a serious family drama for the first hour, nothing's going wrong, and then the supernatural stuff comes in, and it's just like, couldn't you have done more of that earlier?
Yeah, that's true. You got to sense there is some sort of supernatural thing happening from the beginning, but you didn't really see it until, the seance just started happening.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of little weird moments that we're probably forgetting that just really added up after a while. We covered all the big ones that we had no context for, but so many ridiculous things happening. And it was just funny to me.
Yeah.
I don't know how serious people can watch this and they decide, I want to take this seriously. Because for me, without the context, I just think it's funny because it's so random. It's basically random humor. I guess you could see it as, it's random horror, actually.
Yeah.
But if I don't have a reason to be scared of it, my default is to just laugh at it. You know what I mean? I feel like that's just the way life works. If random things happen and it's not an immediate threat, you're gonna find it funny.
Yeah.
Like, if a whale is falling from the sky and you're underneath it, you're going to go, fuck, a whale. But if it's happening way over there, you go, what the fuck? There's a whale falling from the sky.
Yeah. That was most of this movie.
Yeah.
A whale falling somewhere else.
Yup, exactly.
That's what they should have called this movie. A whale falling a safe distance away from me.
And troubling no one in general.
But you mentioned people taking it seriously, and I just want to say that I went into this movie looking forward to an art house horror piece because I'm a fan of scary movies that get more cerebral and in your head, and films like The Witch and Mother were good examples of that, where not all audiences liked it and some audiences were put off by them, but I really connected. So I felt a similar vibe to this at first. And then I go in, and as we're watching it, I hear the audience laughing, and I'm just like, oh, come on, people. Why can't I watch an artsy horror film and just have an audience enjoy it the same way I do? And then I'd say like an hour and a half or an hour and 40 minutes into it, I'm like starting to crack a little bit.
And I'm on your right going, just give in, Nick.
Yeah.
Just to laugh. And you're fighting it,
I
man.
was really like angry. I'm just like, come on. I can't enjoy this movie with all this laughter. And then my breaking point was Toni Collette being like, we have to burn this book. We have to burn this book. And then she throws it, and then Gabriel Byrne, the dad, immediately catches on fire. And that's when I finally cracked. And I'm just like, and the sweet release of not having to take it seriously anymore was such a great burden off my back. But wow, was that tonally like ridiculous. Again, it may have had something to do with the audience I was watching it with. Like if I was watching it by myself, I don't know if I would have reacted the same.
I mean, I didn't even care about the audience. I found it funny. And it's not even that funny. It's just, it was mostly boring. And then it started getting pretty funny. Like, as it felt scarier, it was trying to be scarier, it just started having more jokes, is how I took it. And I'm trying to think, why did some people decide they wanted to take this seriously? Why were they giving it the benefit of the doubt? And the only thing I can think is that there were good filmic aspects in this.
Yeah.
Like, there were certain good filmmaking decisions. The acting was great.
The themes it explored was interesting, like familial, like, struggles and, like, how we inherit the illnesses of our parents and how there was some interesting stuff going on, like talking about the grandma, how she had dissociative identity disorders, certain schizotypal personality disorders, and all that psychological mumbo jumbo. And you start to see that manifest in Toni Collette, and you're just like, oh, are we seeing the beginnings of serious mental illness? And then later on, it's just like, oh, it's not mental illness. She's just possessed by a demon or some bullshit. And it's just like, God damn it, we were so close. It could have been a serious psychological family drama. And it was, and then it wasn't.
Yeah. I guess the cinematography was fine.
It was really good. And her career was making little mini, like, houses and mini buildings. And that was interesting because you don't usually see that. But eventually that was scrapped. And
okay, on that, I hated the opening shot. And here's why. So, we're seeing the house that this takes place in. Mm-hmm. And we're slowly zooming in to one of her mini dioramas.
Yep.
And you see that it's a bedroom set. And then you go all the way in, you press in so you're not seeing any of the surrounding house. And then you see our characters, the son and the husband, and they just start acting out the scene. And I go, oh, this must all be taking place in a diorama world. But then you see them walking out of the house.
Yep.
And it's the house that the diorama's in.
Yeah.
And they're bigger. They're not diorama sized. They're big. I'm like, wait, what? Did they just, like, transport into another dimension? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
I get that it's a great shot and it's artsy, but what does it mean for the story? What's it implying?
As soon as you start thinking about it, it feels like it falls apart a bit.
The only thing I can think is that it zoomed into the diorama and then it just smash cut to the actual bedroom. That's how your brain was supposed to take it.
I guess.
But I didn't take it that way.
Yeah. I mean, it was supposed to look... I guess it shows that her minute details were so exact that it literally looked exactly like the life-size version of the room.
You know what I genuinely thought was the scariest part of the movie?
What?
When she started losing her mind and just smashed all her dioramas. Like, oh my God, you put so much effort into all those things and you just broke them.
Yeah.
That was scary to me.
And there was one part where she imagines her son covered in ants, and she opens her face in, like, horror, and it, like, stays on her face in, like, horror. And it was just like, oh, Jesus, this is a really intense moment. And then it was, ruined momentarily.
Yeah, because the son goes, Mom, and then you realize that she was just imagining it, and so she's just in her son's bedroom with a horrified face. Like, it's supposed to be scary, but it's just kind of funny.
Yeah. Mom, hello? And then I feel like you could put a laugh track in random spots in this movie and it would work great.
Yeah, it really would, honestly. Yeah. I want to see a laugh track version of Hereditary very badly.
That would be great. But also on the dioramas, one part that was supposed to be, like, really sad, but I thought, again, was funny, was her painting a miniature version of the accident scene with the car that the son was driving pulled over the side of the road after it, like, cut off his daughter's head. And, like, the husband walks in while she's painting the severed head of her daughter. And it's just like, honey, you have to stop doing this. And I'm just like, you're painting a severed head. Yeah. It's supposed to be sad, but it's just like, this is too crazy.
I know. it's really interesting, actually, how polarizing this movie is. How some people are willing to find it scary and others find it funny. Because, that scene had context. It did.
Yeah.
But I look at it and I just feel like finding it funny.
Yeah.
Because it just seems comical to me that she's painting a diorama of the scene of the accident of her daughter's death. That just feels kind of comical for me, but
In a really
I guess it
fucked
just
up way, yeah.
depends on your sense of humor, really. It's an interesting movie that becomes scary or funny, depending on the kind of jokes you like.
It's just weird, because the people that I heard take it seriously, some of them have very dark senses of humor, but they took everything extremely seriously.
Yeah, it's puzzling. I guess, part of it could be just have to be in the right frame of mind, but I don't know. It really just gets very deep where you have to question your impulse. If I'm feeling happiness, am I really happy? Or is it just an impulse telling me I'm happy?
Yeah.
And you don't want to go that deep with
No.
something like Hereditary.
No.
But all I know is that I think painting your daughter's severed head kind of funny. In a very dark way, but kind of funny.
But especially, it's super miniature, so she has to get magnifying glasses to zoom in on her daughter's severed head to get the painted details just right.
Yeah.
And another thing, the whole cult reveal, like half an hour in, like near in the last half hour of the movie, when they reveal the like evil cult trying to summon a prince of hell, like, this never seemed like a cult movie, and it just reveals it at the end, and it just seemed like, I mean, there were hints, but the hints didn't have, like you said, any context, so the whole cult thing, like, wasn't relevant until the end. And I just think to myself, would I have liked the movie better if I knew ahead of time the cult was going to become a thing, or would I like it less if I'm sitting in the movie waiting for a cult to show up and it doesn't show up? So I don't know.
The ending was great, but overall,
it wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah, overall it wasn't a grand movie.
No.
Even as a comedy, it wasn't terribly good.
Because, again, the first hour was very, like, dry, serious family drama.
Though if you're up for slow burn comedies where it's an hour of setup for a pretty decent punchline, and I am the kind of person that likes slow burn comedies, so, maybe I should heartily recommend this as a comedy.
Perhaps. But as a horror movie?
No, in a way it's interesting because I'm appreciating it as an artsy comedy instead of as an artsy horror movie.
Which is not the filmmaker's intention.
But I still have artsy cred. I don't have to feel bad that I didn't get the intentions of the movie.
You got it.
I still have an artsy interpretation of this.
Yeah.
It really worked out for me, Hereditary.
Yeah. I mean, people are like, they kind of talk down to people who quote unquote don't get it. Like, critics are just like, people who think it's funny, they have base senses of humor and they just don't comprehend like grand art. And I'm just like, you watched a woman floating in the air, sawing her head off, and you not like one atom in your brain thought, that's kind of funny. Like when it speeds up or when the dad catches on fire, you don't think for a split second, that's kind of dumb. I'm going to laugh at that. Like, it just, I don't know, but it's just bizarre that people can take it so seriously. I understand why they do, but I would like for them to respect our opinion that it was absolutely a comedy.
I guess, depending on your interpretation, you could say that this was a super movie. And you know what else is a super movie?
What?
I was asking. I don't know.
Oh. If I were to wager a guess, I'd say The Incredibles 2.
That doesn't exist.
The Incredibles 2? We saw it.
No. It's Incredibles 2.
But wasn't the first movie The Incredibles?
Yes.
So where's the?
There's no the. It's just Incredibles 2. What do you want from me?
I don't know. I want something from Pixar. I want an answer from Pixar about why they took out the.
Well, there is an official answer. Are you ready?
Okay, sure.
Didn't sound as good. I mean, let's do a test. Ready?
Okay.
Our next movie is The Incredibles 2. Take two. Okay. Our next movie is Incredibles 2.
I actually like the better.
Yeah, me too. The Incredibles 2.
It has a nice length to it. A nice flow.
Incredibles 2.
It's a bit too abrupt, I feel like.
Here's an alternative argument.
Okay.
What sounds better? Today we're going to talk about the 2004 movie, The Incredibles. Today we're going to talk about the 2004 movie, Incredibles.
Yeah, the just is important, I feel like.
Yeah, it just seems like things are missing without that the.
Yeah.
And this is weird, but I was a Pixar fan for a while.
Yeah, I remember.
And that movie, I'm not kidding about this. I found it interesting at the time because I went, wow, this is the first Pixar movie that starts with the. Because no other Pixar movie had the in the title. And I went, how fascinating. And the only other time that happened was with another Pixar movie. And you have 10 seconds to guess which one it was. Go, Nick, go!
The Good Dinosaur.
Fuck!
I was thinking about Jurassic World.
I just lost the farm.
The farm?
I bet the entire farm that you wouldn't get it.
Oh, well, I get a farm now. Ha ha!
You better take good care of my chickens!
I'm gonna eat them all right now.
No!
Oh, no.
But yeah, there aren't that many Pixar movies that start with the.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I feel like I don't like the usually because it just sort of implies this is the only thing of this.
Right.
Like, I hate The Road Trip. I don't know if that's an actual movie, but I'm like, there's many road trips. This better be the road trip. But The Incredibles made sense because it's The Incredibles, and that's when the really powerful. It's like, this is the only of their kind. It's The Incredibles.
Yeah.
Taking the out, I mean,
it could just be any Incredibles.
Yeah, and I'm not usually a fan of the, but there are a lot of reasons that I want the back in this movie. And
like, if they took out the in Good Dinosaur, just be Good Dinosaur. Like, that would sound really
that
dumb.
does sound a lot worse.
Yeah.
Good Dinosaur.
Coming at you. Good Dinosaur.
But yes, we have Incredibles 2.
Yep.
And Incredibles 2. What did I think about it?
What did you think as a Pixar expert?
I haven't liked a lot of Pixar sequels.
Okay.
Wasn't a fan of Finding Dory.
Yep.
Wasn't a fan of Monsters University. Cars 2, Cars 3, excellent. No, actually horrible.
Yep.
I didn't even enjoy Toy Story 3 as much as most people.
You monster.
I know. Incredibles 2, I felt was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I was saying it was a worthy successor to the first movie. I've had some time to ruminate on it. I do feel that the first movie was better.
Yeah.
Two basic things that the first movie did better that you can see as nitpicks, but it's how I feel. I feel there were more exotic locations in the first movie. It took place on an island, and you just got to see a little more stuff, and then it moved to a city, and it started in a neighborhood, so it was interesting. And it was also dark. It was implied that a lot of superheroes were executed. You didn't necessarily see it, but there was a pretty dark underbelly to
like
that
the
movie.
Lore. Like,
yeah.
It felt like Watchmen.
Exactly. And, the fact that they were kind of underground and they needed to hide, that was interesting. It felt dark. And you don't really get that darkness in this new movie. And also, this new movie just mostly takes place in a city.
Yeah.
You have some interesting locations within the city, but it's mostly just the city.
Or next to a city.
Yeah. And I've heard some people saying that the plot is just the same as the first movie, and it's not exactly the same. But I understand why people are saying it. In the first movie, you had Mr. Incredible, and he's working for a guy, and he thinks he's just kind of helping out, But then it turns out that it was all a decoy and that this is a bad guy trying to get rid of superheroes. And that's also ultimately what this movie is about. Yeah. There's a different context because this bad guy doesn't like superheroes for a different reason.
Yeah.
And they don't have the exact same trick to lure the superhero into the trap. So, yeah, I can see how it's the same, even though there is a different context.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And ultimately, that context was kind of enough for me to not look at it and go, this is a repeat. It felt different. And the big thing is that they swapped out Elastigirl for Mr. Incredible. Wait, I said that wrong. And the big thing is Mr. Incredible was now on the sidelines and Elastigirl was more at the center of attention. And that was fine. I mean, Elastigirl's cool. I feel just as cool as Mr. Incredible. I guess it didn't really matter who was in the spotlight, but I'm glad Elastigirl gets a chance to do it. That's cool. And they wrote in an interesting reason for her to be in the spotlight instead of Mr. Incredible, but so it felt different. It did feel different, but it does kind of feel like different paint over the same thing.
Yeah.
If you really think about it.
Right.
So at the very least, they put on very different paint, like all different colors, but it's the same thing. I mean, even the first movie had Mr. Incredible like stopping a train that was about to go off the rails, and it was a big thing. And then that happened in this movie.
Literal parallel, yeah.
It was a better sequence in this movie because it was like a big important thing, but I'm like, it's just another train. Like, really? Ultimately, what the plot of Incredibles 2 was is that they wanted to make supers legal again. And so you had this duo, this dynamic duo. You had Winston Dever and his sister Evelyn. And they were basically throwing a bunch of money at this campaign to get supers to be seen better by the public. And how they were going to do it is they were basically just going to put a camera in the suits of the superheroes. And by the superheroes, I mean we start with Elastigirl. And their good reason for putting Elastigirl in the center is she does less damage according to her data. And I'm like, well, yeah, actually, that makes a lot of sense.
It's pretty logical.
So that's the skin that we had to work off of. The bad guy was different in this movie. I feel like he had a really memorable villain in the first movie, but in this movie, the twist was that the villain actually didn't really even matter. The villain had this whole monologue. He's the screenslaver and just talking about how screens are terrible, which this movie technically takes place in the 60s, so it's not going to be that effective a commentary on stop looking at your phone when there's no smartphones in the movie.
I was like, when I heard that, I was like, are they going to just shit on millennials and just be like, hey, stop looking at video games because there's this big bad guy and it represents your addiction to technology and social media.
But ultimately, it was just a complete decoy, and that bad guy didn't even really exist. And that is an interesting twist, but also I might have liked an actual bad guy.
Yeah, I feel like if the fake bad guy's ideology was more consistent with the actual bad guy, it would have felt better.
And who was the puppet master behind this bad guy?
The puppet master was Evelyn. And it was interesting because as I was watching it, I was suspecting it to be Winston because he's very charismatic and very excitable about superheroes. I'm like, he seems too happy. I feel like he might be hiding something.
Yeah, when he first has a meeting with the main character superheroes, he just goes down a staircase and goes, I love supers! Like,
it's just like villain.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just so stupid. But I was in the same boat. A lot of people have said that, oh, it was so obvious that it was going to be Evelyn. I genuinely thought that it made sense that it'd be Winston because he's too happy. So he's got to have something up his sleeve here.
Right.
And I'll say this. I was kind of looking at some spoiler material, if you will. Usually toys will give away the plot of kids' movies.
Uh-huh.
And there's a guy doing a review of a Lego set.
Uh-huh.
And he said, "All right, so this might be a spoiler, but I think we figured out who Screenslaver is." And I went, "Oh, okay." And then they took off the helmet of the Screenslaver Lego figurine, and it was Winston Dever. I went, "Oh, okay, so I guess that was spoiled for me." So this whole movie, I was just thinking, yeah, Winston's going to be the bad guy. The
Wow,
Legos confirmed it.
out.
And yeah, so it really worked that, oh, wow, it was Evelyn? I didn't see that coming. But here's the other stupid thing that I also knew. Winston Dever, right?
Yeah.
Evelyn. Mm-hmm. What's her full name?
Evelyn Dever? Oh. Wow.
Right?
That's really...
And I knew that the whole time. I knew Evil Endeavor. Evil Endeavor.
Yeah.
But I'm like, nah, she's not going to be the bad guy. I don't know why. I was just still like, wow, her? Who saw it coming? She's Evil Endeavor. Like, and I noticed the movie very smartly never put her name together like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So they didn't give away the very obvious name
Yeah.
that the real bad guy had.
But it was interesting seeing her basically break down how, like, her justification for being against superheroes, like the death of their parents, and, like, explaining how Winston couldn't be the bad guy because she reacted to the supers not being able to save her parents during a home invasion as supers not being worthy of, like, being, like, representing the law, and he just saw it as like, oh, we just need more superheroes, like we should still trust them even though my parents weren't saved. And it's just like, it's interesting seeing that divide between the siblings and how it's like a dichotomy of how we feel about law enforcement.
Yeah, but yeah, ultimately the screen thing didn't matter at all.
No,
it was all fake.
Yep.
And you thought, all right, well, this is very timely, the fact that they have cameras in these suits and they're going to be monitoring these authority figures that are responsible for helping citizens. You thought there might be a commentary on that. No, it's just a plot device. Yeah. And that's fine, honest. I didn't need social commentary.
I mean, again, you said it probably takes place in the 60s, so it would be weird to do modern commentary in that context.
The thing is, though, I do not get Evelyn's plan exactly. Oh. The justification, fine.
Yeah.
But all right, she doesn't like superheroes. Okay, so what's her plan? Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to invent this fake bad guy called Screenslaver. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have him do some bad stuff. I'm going to have him publicly show what he can do on TV. And what he can do is he has hypnosis powers. So he can put a hypnosis feed through a screen and basically take over someone's mind and just start speaking through their body. So Evelyn's thinking, I'm going to do this with the Screenslaver on public TV so everyone knows about it and everyone's talking about it. That's going to be how we make Elastigirl look good, because Elastigirl is going to keep saving the day. And then eventually we're going to have Elastigirl catch the Screenslaver, and it's going to be great. And then everyone's going to be talking about, wow, that bad guy that was able to control people's minds, Elastigirl totally saved the day. Now, maybe Evelyn wasn't expecting that Elastigirl would be able to defeat the Screenslaver, and maybe she was just trying to kill Elastigirl or something, but...
It was a fake dude, though. The dude wasn't really in control of...
Yeah, but she was, like, telling him what to do, so maybe she wanted to... Because basically the Screenslaver was just a guy that was hypnotized to be the Screenslaver.
Yeah.
So Evelyn was just commanding him, kill Elastigirl, or I don't know. Why would she want Elastigirl dead exactly?
He wasn't really trying to kill her until he was cornered. He was trying to escape.
Well, at first he was just attacking her and prodding her with like an electric thing.
Yeah.
So I assume the Screenslaver wanted to incapacitate her. But why would Evelyn even want to defeat Elastigirl exactly? Because Evelyn ultimately wants to make superheroes illegal forever, right?
Yeah.
And as of right now, the public doesn't like superheroes. Like, that's the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Which does backpedal a little bit from the ending of The Incredibles. At the ending of The Incredibles, there's this implication that, all right, the supers have had to be in hiding for a long time, but now they're back and they're out in the open, And in the beginning of this sequel, they're like, should we be doing this? This is still technically illegal. I'm like, oh, okay. But I'm fine because it gives momentum for the story to exist. It's a little lame, but fine. But yeah, in the beginning of the movie, superheroes still aren't doing hot in the public eye.
Right.
So here's what Evelyn could have done if she wanted superheroes to stay illegal. Nothing.
Yeah.
Because think about it, Winston's like, let's do this big campaign to get supers back. Right, sister? Actually, I don't want to participate in that because I don't want superheroes to be back. But I need your technology or this won't work. Well, I'm not going to help you. Well, then I guess I can't do anything.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da. Like, that you didn't have to do anything at all, but you invented the screenslaver.
I think she wanted to spite heroes, and like her need for revenge against them pushed her to do like over the top things.
So she wanted to make them look even worse because they already look pretty bad.
She wanted to be sure they never got legalized, I feel like, by doing a horrible thing on a boat.
I don't think. Oh, that's jumping ahead.
Okay.
But I don't think. I mean, it looked like they'd be legal for a long time, and if they were going to be legal, it was going to be way down the road. Like, some serious work clearly had to be done, as demonstrated by Winston, to change public opinion.
Yeah.
And she actively participated in this work that would work against what she wanted.
Yeah.
And I don't get it. Maybe she felt, I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt. Maybe Evelyn felt she was forced into this. She can't say no to her brother Winston, but how's she gonna get out of this one? So she invents the screenslaver, maybe to incapacitate Elastigirl. And then that would just stop the hero and that would stop the campaign. But Elastigirl winds up saving the day and defeating the screenslaver, which really puts Evelyn in a corner here. Like, oh, geez, well, now I said yes to my brother and I invented a villain that just wound up helping everything along. This is really
like
going bad.
Real goof.
What a bad day.
Jeepers.
I mean, that's a better explanation than the screenslaver intentionally existing to make Elastigirl look good, because that's really confusing.
Right.
So then Elastigirl figures out this whole plan, and Evelyn winds up putting hypno goggles on Elastigirl, so Elastigirl's under her control. Thinking, okay, maybe this is all a really elaborate plan just to get Elastigirl hypnotized. And then eventually we got Mr. Incredible and Frozone. They also have these hypno goggles on. Oh no.
Yep.
And her plan is, okay, so what's going to happen is Winston has taken this campaign so far, and public opinion has been so persuaded that we're going to have ambassadors from all the countries sign this big document saying that supers are illegal on this boat. And I'm going to have the superheroes that are hypnotized say bad things on TV. Here are the two things wrong with that. One, Evelyn waited until the thing was signed. It's like, hooray! Supers are now legal! Like, don't you think you'd want to make your move before they put that law into effect? Because doesn't that really ruin things for you?
It'll take them a while to unsign that.
But then, I don't know if they can't. They're going to have to do a whole campaign to unsign it.
Yeah.
But then, two, these superheroes are saying these things, and they're clearly saying it not in their actual voices. You can hear in the voice acting that it's different. It sounds off.
Yeah.
And they're wearing these weird glasses.
Just like, oh, they never wore those before.
Don't you think the public, knowing about Screenslaver, who's been all over the newspapers and TV, whose whole shtick was controlling people against their will, maybe someone out there would go, hey, wait a minute, this seems wrong.
Yeah?
So maybe if Evelyn never invented the screenslaver in the first place, then people wouldn't be that suspicious.
She could have done the hypnotizing part without the screenslaver.
Why not just put the goggles on Elastigirl? Like, it just break into her house, like, surprise!
Yeah.
Or just be a glasses saleswoman, like, I've got these new sunglasses I think you're gonna like. Just do that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it really, really fails as a bad guy plot. But
Yeah, I guess so when you dissect it like that, yeah.
But the action helped mask it. I mean, the action sequences were great.
Yeah.
I liked seeing Elastigirl. The way she would maneuver her body with her elasticity in order to do things was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You got to see that with the train scene where she stopped the train.
And she stretched out across two, like, separating train cars on a motorcycle that split in two to accommodate her stretchy body. That was a cool thing to see.
You know what it reminded me of?
What?
That time in The Incredibles where Mr. Incredible stopped the train.
But he didn't stretch on a stretchy motorcycle.
No, he didn't. And this was a better scene in the sequel, but it's still a train being stopped.
Yeah.
So, whatever. But ultimately, it was good action. And the action, I think, helped me be able to ignore that the plot wasn't exactly working.
Right.
And I'm not usually a fan of hypnosis as a plot device because I feel like it keeps characters from being themselves.
Yeah.
And I want characters to have agency over what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want them to be themselves. But also, it is an effective tool for creating scenarios that wouldn't ordinarily happen. Like in this movie, when Elastigirl's hypnotized, she's commanded to have a fight with Mr. Incredible, and that would never happen reasonably in real life. So that was fun. I wish it lasted even longer, but that was fun. And then we have all these new superheroes that are introduced. They're just side characters, really.
Yeah.
But they're good guys. So they wouldn't have a reason to fight the family of the Incredibles unless they were hypnotized.
Yeah.
So we got really fun action sequences out of that too.
They all had kind of interesting powers that created different challenges for the Incredibles.
But ultimately it's so easy. You just have to get the glasses off and, oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
we're good. So whatever. It was still fun though. And again, I'm just emphasizing there's a lot. It's a broken movie. It feels like a repeat, and there are a lot of questions that you ask in this movie compared to the first movie where I wasn't really asking that many questions.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's got a real shiny coat of paint all over it, and it's great. I mean, the animation on its own is fantastic.
Yeah, that was great.
Right?
Sure. Yep.
But, I've taken too long not talking about the bad plot because there is more that also doesn't make sense. All right, so the hypnotized superheroes.
Okay.
They make it so the ship is turning toward land and it's going at full speed.
Toward a city.
Yeah. Let's think about this. What's going to happen if it hits land?
It's gonna hit the city.
Yeah, is it going to go all the way through the city and destroy a bunch of buildings?
It was kind of a floating, flying boat.
It didn't fly, though.
Yeah, that's true.
It would raised up, but I don't think...
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Unless I totally missed that. And it was a magic flying boat.
Part of it launched, but...
I think it just raised up. I don't think it could fly through. I wish it did. That would have... If this was an aircraft, that would have made it way more exciting.
Yeah. No,
but
I
instead
don't,
it was
I don't
a
think
boat.
It did. Yeah.
And I'm thinking it's just going to be like a car that hits a brick wall. It's just going to...
Yeah, it's going to hit like maybe a few buildings on the coast.
I guess it'd destroy the people that are in the ship. But I wasn't really clear on exactly what are you trying to do?
World leaders were on the ship, so that would potentially kill a lot of world leaders.
Why not just hypnotize them and then sink the ship?
Because I guess you wanted to cause more destruction than just the people on the ship.
And maybe the goggles would pop off in the water and then we'd have a real problem.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, then all the goggles pop off and Evelyn's like, yikes, gotta get away. And she drags her brother with her. I'm like, what? You like your brother that much? All right. But then the brother goes, no! And just doesn't go with her.
Yep.
And so you have this chip. And it's about to crash into the city. Mm-hmm. And so this is literally an all-hands-on-deck situation, right?
Yeah.
You really want everyone trying to help out with this. It's the big climax of the movie. Everyone should be playing a part here. And in the beginning of the movie, you have this moment that establishes something important. You have the Underminer. He's a bad guy, and he's getting away. While, at the same time, this contraption is about to do some damage to the city. And Mr. Incredible, who's in the middle of this action, has a choice. He can stop the Underminer, or he can do the more important thing and protect the city. And so he makes that choice. And so we realize from that scene, there are an order of priorities here.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do the big important thing, which in this circumstance would be stopping the ship from crashing into the city.
Yeah.
But then Elastigirl goes and chases after Evelyn, who's getting away in a helicopter, and the family encourages this, like, finish your mission. And I'm like,
so both
the Underminer got away. Can't Evelyn get away? She's not going to do anything. She's just running away.
Yeah.
Why go after just Elastigirl? You clearly demonstrated in many action sequences how capable you are. I feel like your stretching powers would be very useful in helping to stop this ship. But instead you're in the air trying to stop a woman who's posing no threat currently. She's just trying to run away.
Right.
Oh, they could have just polished this a little bit more. Like, I did like the movie. I did.
Yeah.
But ultimately, there's stuff wrong with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Another parallel, like the train scenes in both, like in the first movie, Syndrome, he was defeated because of his cape, and he was defeated on a plane in the air, and Evelyn was defeated on a plane in the air. But in this case, it was a little bit different.
That's a good point.
She was shot with a flare gun out the front of a window. And I thought that killed her, but she apparently lived.
Yeah.
If I got shot square in the chest with a flare gun, and I was a normal human and not a superpowered person, I'd be dead.
Well, it makes sense that Elastigirl wound up saving this bad guy, because this bad guy's point was that you didn't need superheroes. Superheroes can't save people. But then she proved her wrong by saving her. So that was great.
Yeah, it was a cool touch.
But in the same way that it was interesting that the screensaver wasn't real, I was like, maybe it would have been cooler if there was a real bad guy that really died.
Yeah.
Like, it's obviously just more satisfying to see Syndrome
sucked
into a fucking turbine. That was great.
Yeah.
But we have this instead, which is at least different.
The climax did feel less satisfying than the first one, for sure.
It definitely did. Ultimately, there was one thing about this movie that made me think, okay, they should have made a sequel. There was a story to tell here. Mm-hmm. Was seeing Mr. Incredible be a stay-at-home dad and dealing with raising his children.
Yeah, that was refreshing to see.
And at first I thought, wow, that's really interesting, because we're seeing the superhero version of raising your children.
Yeah.
And that's unexpected. You usually expect them to be in action scenarios, but instead you're seeing powers used in a very home-style way. That's fun. But then I thought about it more and I went, mostly there were no powers being used at all.
No.
The only powers that showed up were with Jack, and that was a lot of fun trying to control Jack and all his powers. I won't deny that. But ultimately, I look at the plot as a whole, and I'm like, without Jack, this is just actually kind of boring.
I mean, to be fair, I liked that. I liked that the superhero wasn't able to be his super self, and he had to do mundane human things.
I did appreciate that, but it's another one of those things where, well, that's different. Like how Screenslaver wasn't really a villain.
Yeah.
But maybe. Like, this movie did a lot of things that were different, but kind of worse, I guess, if you think about it. Here's another thing that's interesting, though, is that the reason the characters weren't aged up, in case you were wondering, according to the director-writer of this movie, Brad Bird, is that the powers the characters were given represented their lot in life. And with Dash, he's a 10-year-old, and 10-year-olds are really energetic, so that's why he has super speed. With Violet, she is a teenager, she's going through things, that's why she's sort of withdrawn, shy, and can have invisibility and force fields. With Jack Jack, babies have this unlimited potential.
They're
so
chaotic.
that's why Jack Jack had a lot of powers.
Yeah.
And if you age them up, it just kind of changes that. Like if Dash is a teenager, well, he's super fast. So it doesn't make as much sense. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. They discover Jack Jack has a whole bunch of powers. Okay, that makes sense. Babies have unlimited potential. But if you think about it, if babies have unlimited potential, Dash and Violet were also babies at one point. So you would think that maybe Mr. Incredible would have been familiar that this happens with super babies, and that Violet and Dash also might have had a whole bunch of powers, and that this shouldn't have been something that confounded him and he should have been
Right.
prepared for it.
But the implication of it is that they were born with one power.
Yes. Now here's the thing. I would not have even thought about that.
Yeah.
But the movie had one line that actually made me think of it. They were trying to explain it away and be
Yeah.
smart, but they brought it up. It's that Frozone said, like, basically said, and this is something, and Mr. Incredible finished his sentence, yeah, this didn't happen with the other kids. I'm like, wait a minute, wait. And I'm like, no! It just made me think about that, too.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I really did enjoy Jack Jack. It was a lot of fun seeing his powers explored, and that was a good use of that premise, the stay-at-home dad,
Right.
is when powers had to be used. And it had to do with being a superhero, but with Dash needing to do his math homework and Violet having boy problems, it was like, it just didn't involve powers. And again, yeah, it was different, but was it the best? I don't know. I just don't know. Did I make you dislike the movie more by talking about it?
You usually do.
I do. I think it's a very good sequel. I wish it was a lot better.
Yeah.
And I do think the more I thought about it, the more flawed it became.
Right.
But ultimately, I do overlook a lot of the flaws when I watch it because it's just the characters are fun. Mm-hmm. It is different, and it's probably inferior, but I do still enjoy it.
Yeah.
I just like you, I like Mr. Incredible being a stay-at-home dad and doing this kind of stuff. It's fun.
Yeah.
The whole movie is fun. It's a good, solid movie. And Elastigirl is thick.
She is pretty bodacious.
I was in a theater that was full of teenagers,
Yeah.
and they were being pretty calm. But there's one moment where Elastigirl was just on screen, and this girl was like, wow, Elastigirl is thick. I'm like, good. I'm glad the youth is being raised properly.
I'm just trying to think of the animator's like objective in over pronouncing that part of her biology so much. It's just like purely sexual.
I don't know. I mean, it's not
Child
necessarily...
rearing hips, I guess.
She's a mom.
Yeah, but not all moms are like...
I don't know that everyone is attracted to thick like that.
No.
It might just be us.
It's not just us.
We're the only ones.
Everyone else calls us freaks.
Every time she stretches, it just makes her less thick.
When her butt was just stretched real thin, I cried.
If you think about it, her power is just being less sexy. Also, this is something that some critic pointed out, and I didn't notice it, but then I did when I thought about it, is that you can hear the age of Mr. and Mrs. Incredible in this movie. You can, because Mr. Incredible does sound way more like an old man.
Yeah.
And you can tell that Elastigirl is kind of aged a bit too. I think she's a little lispier.
Yeah.
I think it's something that you can get
Overlook.
past after a while, but
The fan art people were going crazy over her.
yeah, were they?
Yeah, I saw some glimpse and I was just like, whoa.
Over her old lady voice, of course, is what you're referring to.
No, over the pear shape of her body. Is that a pear shape? Is that how you describe it?
I don't know what
Or an
fruits are.
hourglass?
I don't understand the concept of shapes.
Okay.
Also, speaking of how it's been 14 years, How did you feel about that little promo that came before the movie that was going, we know it's been 14 years, but this is going to be worth the wait, with the start? You remember that, Samuel L. Jackson?
Oh, right. When they showed the stars of the movie, and I was just like, if you need to say that, that's probably not entirely true.
Here's why I think that happened, is when the last Pixar movie came out, Olaf's Frozen Adventure came before it, which was long.
Yeah.
This is over 20 minutes. And as a buffer between that and Coco, they had a short little Pixar clip like, hope you enjoy Coco, haha, yeah! And I think they liked that idea, so they wanted to put that before Incredibles 2 to try it out.
Yeah, it's weird.
Not only did it kind of not work, and I'm like, I don't want to see these humans, just show me the movie.
Yeah.
But after that, we hope you enjoy, after 14 years of waiting, Incredibles 2. Then it cut to the short film before the Pixar movie.
Yeah, that's
I'm like,
not a good start.
Yeah, maybe you should have just swapped the order there a little bit.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do? This is the Pixar sequel everybody's wanted. Like, I don't want Toy Story 3, that stunk. I don't want this Finding Dory nonsense. Give me Incredibles 2! And I didn't care either way. I mean, I like movies when I like movies, and if they have a good idea for a sequel, fine, but I wasn't desperate for one.
No.
I wouldn't have cared if they never made one.
To be fair, though, I think it is probably one of the best Pixar sequels.
And I would agree. I do think Toy Story 3 is better.
What about Toy Story 2?
Is definitely better.
Yeah.
But Incredibles 2 is probably right behind there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so.
I just wish it was better.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it. It didn't make me angry, despite all the things I pointed out about it that I was going, that's wrong! I still liked it.
Yeah. I wasn't blown away. I enjoyed it. I didn't analyze it. I didn't think that's really cool. It was just pleasant, and that was it. I could do with or without it.
But for now, I think it's time to do without Incredibles 2. I think we've talked about Incredibles 2 enough for the day.
Yeah, we definitely have.
So,
What?
we're done.
We're done. No, we're not done. We did 3 movies.
And we talked for like an hour and a half, though. We're good to go.
But wait, we have... Are you sure? I mean, that doesn't...
Mrs. Seelan, the new arrangement was that we talk for an hour and a half instead of an hour, which is what we were supposed to go for last time.
But we only covered 3 movies, and that's what we did early on in the podcast, and we have a new format now.
Yeah, the new format is talk about more movies, but it's also talk for an hour and a half. She didn't say talk longer than that, so I mean, I think we did it.
That doesn't seem right, though. Something seems...
Well, yeah, it feels wrong because we're back to just talking about 3 movies when we're supposed to be talking about... How many did we see this time?
Like 12?
No, it wasn't that many.
Like
It was 11.
Oh, my mistake.
It was a lot of movies.
Oh,
and we did not talk about 8 of them.
Oh my god, thinking about that's crazy.
I mean, we're at crossroads here. Which rule do we follow? Do we just talk about more movies, or do we talk about 3 movies, but only for an hour and a half?
No one will listen to what? If we did all of them, it'd end up being a 5-hour podcast? That's nuts. Even if we split it into 2 parts, that would be nuts.
So it sounds like we're doing the right thing here.
I guess.
Even though we're just talking about 3 movies.
I guess. Jeez, something just seems... Nah, I don't like this.
We followed the rules. We didn't.
We had a lot to say about 3 of them, but we also have a lot to say about those other ones.
It doesn't matter, though, because we talked about 3 for an hour and a half. So we kind of found a loophole.
I guess.
It doesn't exactly benefit us.
It feels like we're backtracking.
Yeah, I don't really know where this puts us.
What are we gonna do? with the other ones.
It's also weird because some of those earlier episodes are definitely over an hour, probably closer to an hour and a half.
That's true.
So this is actually feeling a lot like an older episode.
Oh, man.
But we followed the rules. We followed the rules.
We did. I mean, if we made every commentary minuscule, we'd be able to fit them all, but we had a lot to say, so I don't know. What do we do?
I suppose it's a win.
A win?
In that before we had to do 2 podcasts a month, 3 movies each, talk about them, and that was a total of 2 hours. But now we have to do 1 podcast a month for an hour and a half, and we only talked about 3 movies, so that's less movies. But we still saw 8 movies.
Yeah, but
that we didn't talk about.
I mean, I feel like we need to prove that to people. Like, we can't just have 1 podcast a month with 3 movies. That just seems like insignificant.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I'm not doing. If you're suggesting we do a multiple hour and a half podcasts a month, you're out of your mind.
No, I'm
Blinkity Bloop, the band, has been on fire lately, and we're not jeopardizing it.
I don't want to derail the band's progress, but leaving it like this feels wrong.
Yeah. So anyway, this is brought to you by Fisher Mist Media, this podcast. Please go to Fisher Mist Media for all of your audio needs. If you would like to record podcasts, you can do it here. If you'd like to record music, you can do it here. And especially if you would like to record any little thing you could think about in order to make your movies taken to the next professional level, Fisher Mist Media is the place for you.
Absolutely.
So come on down as soon as you can. You will not be disappointed.
Definitely not.
Am I missing something?
You know what? I feel like maybe, but we don't have time to figure it out.
No, I feel like it was important.
Oh, let me think. Huh.
Alright, whatever. We'll remember it eventually.
Yeah, sure.